Hello, my lovelies. It's Susanna, and today I want to show you how to solve this equation for R2. R2 is here in our equation and here, so we see that it is part of this denominator here. And if we want to solve for R2, we have to get R2 out of the denominator. So I would suggest that we multiply this whole equation by this denominator so that we get rid of this fraction here. So we multiply the left side by this denominator, so we write it in parentheses, R1 plus R2, and the same on the other side, of course, we multiply by this denominator, and let's see what happens. On the left side, I write it down like this first, and we will take care of this later on. But on the other side, now we can cancel this denominator, and only what was in the numerator is left on the right side. Now, where is our R2 now? Here and here. So not in a denominator anymore, which is good, but it is inside parentheses. So if we want to solve for R2, we have to get R2 out of these parentheses. So let's get rid of the parentheses by multiplying everything that is inside our parentheses by this U2. So this element and this element. So we get R1 multiplied by U2, then we have our plus, and R2 multiplied by U2 as well. And on the other side, we just leave it as it is. I wrote this down on the next page again, and we take a look where our R2 is. It is here now and here now. So not in a denominator anymore, not in parentheses anymore, which is great, but these parts that contain the R2 are on two different sides of our equation. So let's take this part here and bring it to the other side by subtracting this part on both sides. So we subtract R2 times U2, and on the other side as well, we subtract this part. Then what do we get? On the left side, we have our R1 times U2. These two cancel out. And on the other side, we had this part here. And now we subtract the other part and get this equation. We still want to solve for R2, so it is here and here. It is now on one side of the equation, but it is still in two different places. To be able to solve for R2, R2 is only allowed once in the equation, not twice as it is now. But we can factor out the R2 on the right side. So we leave the left side as it is and factor out the R2 on the right side. So what is left in our parentheses? We have the minus here. If we factor out the R2, only the U0 is left. And if we factor out the R2 here, only the U2 is left. So this is what our equation looks like now. Our R2 appears only once in the equation, which is great. But it is not alone on the right side yet. We have to get rid of these parentheses here. So we divide the equation by these parentheses, by this expression here. You can write it in parentheses if you want to. You don't have to. We just divide by this whole expression. Now, we start with the right side because we want to solve for R2. This cancels out now, and R2 is left on this side. I switch both sides so that we have R2 equals some expression. And on the other side, we just leave it as it is. We write down this fraction here, and this is our result for R2. By the way, this formula is only valid if this denominator here is not 0. We divided by this here, so we have to make sure that it is not 0. So it would be 0 if these two numbers would be the same. So this formula is only valid if U0 is not equal to U2. I hope it helped you. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. I wish you a wonderful day, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Take care!